We're live. We're live, Spencer.
Yes. Is it 8 o'clock? Yes. Right. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this session in the Edgware United Synagogue Adult Education Programme entitled The Manchester Cantorial Scene Today. It's the last of 3 sessions on cantorial music in the UK provinces. You can find the others, Star Chazonim of the Provinces, presented by Rabbi Cantor Jeffrey Schisler, and 5 choral cantorial gems, presented by David Prager and ECA Director Alex Klein, on the Edgware United Synagogue YouTube channel. This session will be available on that channel immediately after we conclude tonight. Why did I choose Manchester? The main reason is that when other cities have ceased to employ cantors, Manchester has on the whole retained theirs. Indeed, I think that Manchester currently has more chazanim than London. And why did I ask Cantor Yehuda Marx of Heaton Park to be the presenter? Because I know that he has a passion for cantorial music and is the author of the widely admired In Defense of Chazanot. He is a Mancunian who was born into a cantorial and Hasidic family. He was trained in Chazanot at Jews College London, where he received his cantorial diploma in 1985, and he also studied at Manchester College of Music. He studied under the guidance of Reverend Leo Brill, Reverend J. Sherman, Dr. Alex Knapp, and Cantor Moshe Haschel. He has told me that when he was studying in London, he would often walk long distances to listen to different chazanim. He has sung in many places abroad, including Israel, New York, Sweden, and the Czech Republic. Each of the 4 chazanim have decided separately how they will present this evening, and at the end, you will have an opportunity to make comments and ask questions. Simply raise your virtual Zoom hand. We start with an introduction by Cantor Yehuda Marx. He has asked me to point out that Michael Isdell of South Manchester was at one time the chazan in his shul in the 1970s. Elliot, can you start with Yehuda Marx's introduction? Elliot?
Yeah, sorry, it was just a bit slow going on.
We need sound.
To thank Mr. Spencer Nathan for asking me to help organise this programme of Chazonim of Manchester. Chazonim and music lovers owe a great debt of gratitude to Mr. Spencer Nathan for highlighting and promoting the sacred art of Chazonis through these Zoom programmes. May God bless you in all your endeavours, and may you continue your excellent work for many years to come in good health together with your dear wife. From 1890s to the 1960s, Manchester had renowned chazonim and rabbonim. Just to mention a few names: Alexandrovitz, Bowarski, Kopperman, Elfand, Hirschman, Hillman, Icht, Kupfer, Matz, Newman, Perlman, Pinkasovich, Price, Schlesinger, Shapiro, Soroto, Stern, Sherman, Wasilowski, and Wilder. The difference between London and Manchester Chazonist-wise is that in Manchester, the shuls, similar to the United Synagogue, all have fixed readers, unlike London, where anyone can get up and take the service. Not all the fixed readers are chazonim. Some are more into congregational singing than chazonis. However, they all have good voices. The Shulchan Aruch says that it's better for a shul to have a salaried paid chazan than not having a fixed reader. The reason being because if a chazan was paid, he's going to sing with more passion and because it is his livelihood. Joining me in this program is Chazan Adam Kaplan, who is a chazan at the Prestridge Synagogue, also known as the Shrubberies. Adam is a very popular chazan and well liked by his congregants. He delights his congregation with his melodious singing and pleasant personality. Also joining me are cantors Yossi and Rafi Muller, who are the sons of the world-famous chazan Benjamin Muller of Antwerp, Belgium. It is an honor for Manchester to have chazanim from such a distinguished cantorial family. Cantor Yosef is chazan at the Hillock Shul, Whitefield, and Rafi is a cantor of the Higher Prestridge Shul. Both have sung at many shuls in Manchester and beyond, and have given many years of service to the community. And they both are in great demand for their beautiful slicha services as well as guest appearances. Hopefully, in another program, we will include the other Manchester chazonim, namely Cantor Michael Isdale of the South Manchester Synagogue, Cantor Zevi Krauscher of the Romanian North Salford Synagogue, Cantor Robert Marx and Avram Aronson of Steencourt, also known as the Great New and Central Synagogue, Chazan Modi Spitzer and Yehuda Saunders at Bury, and freelance cantors Yitzchak Halevi Toporovitz and Yossi Saunders and Yehuda Levine. Before I talk about my shul, Heaton Park, I must mention my good friend Alex Klein. Alex has enhanced this city by bringing over 45 world-famous chazonim to concertize and sing here. Alex is an inspiration to anyone who is passionate on chazonis and continues to promote chazonis by his Zoom interviews and his great work that he does for the ECA, organizing concerts and seminars. May God give you the health and strength to carry on your sacred work, and may he bless you and Yvonne in all your endeavors. My synagogue, Heaton Park, was founded in 1935. The current building was built in 1967, and it is on its original site. We have over 700 members. The synagogue's first chazan was appointed in 1943. That was Chazan Emanuel Meir Freilich, who stayed till 1948, moving to Hampstead Garden suburb, where his great-nephew is now got the position as Avromi Freilich. Other cantors of this synagogue were my cousin, Cantor Jacob Nemtsov, in 1948. Then Rabbi Gershon Wallach came. Rabbi Gershon Wallach was both a rabbi and a chazan, being the son of a cantor and related by marriage to the great chazan Solomon Stern. Members of this shul still speak very fondly of Rabbi Wallach's davening, how he got all the congregation to sing together. And during his term of office, the shul had an excellent choir conducted by Azriel Fairman. Mr. Fairman was a nephew of the legendary Samuel Ullman. Other cantors of this synagogue were Yori Weiss from Israel, Shmuel Terry, who was a student of the famous Benjamino Gili, Shimon Halpern, who was a brother of the famous Rabbi Elchanan Halpern, my cousin Avram Trepp, Lionel Rabinovitz, a brother to Rabbi Benjamin Rabinovitz, Harvey Miller, who I used to come and listen to while I was a student, Michael Simon, and now me.
Right, we're going to hear three pieces now.
מי שיעשה ניסים, ניסים, ניסים לבויסנו, מי שיעשה ניסים, ניסים לבויסנו. וגואל אויסום, וגואל אויסום, מעבדוס לחיירוס. יגאלויסנו בקרויב וקבץ נידוחנו והבא כנפויס הורדות. חברים כל ישראל, חברים כל ישראל, חברים כל ישראל, חברים כל ישראל, ונוהמה ונוהמה רומי, חברים כל ישראל, חברים כל ישראל, ונוהמה ונאמר אמן. ממקום מלכנו, מלכנו סופיה, ושמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. Mosai, Mosai, Timaloch Batzion, Timaloch Batzion, Bekoroi Beyomayalo, Bekoroi Beyomayalo, Leilom Vod Tishakov. Tisakadol vesiskadosh, Tisakadol vesiskadosh, Tisakadol vesiskadosh, Besoich Yerushalayim, Besoich Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim Yiracho, Leroi, Oroi, Leroi, Oroi, Yolonaitak, Letomachim, Olanai, Natochim, Veheyeneino, Sirano, Sirano, Machosecho, Kadomo, Beshira, Vayobozabacho, Vayfeyeneino, Siravano, Sirano, Machosecho, Kadomo, Beshira, Vayobozabacho. Al Yedei David Mashiach Zikaho. Shomo, 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 vatis maxioin. Shomo, 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 vatis maxioin. Wat hoort je heileno, benoist Yehuda, lemahan mishpatecha ad hoishem. Shomo, 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 vatismach Zion. Ki ato adoi Shem Elyon, 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 al kol haaretz, me'oin aleiso, al kol Elohim. Oh, Yahweh Adoshem, Sinura, Shoime, 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 Navishuis, Shoime, 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 Nafshois Chasido, Miyad Reshoim, Miyad Reshoim, Yatzileim, Yatzileim, Shoime, Shoime, Nafshois Chasido, Shoime, Nafshois Chasido, oh, Miyad Reshoim, Yatzileim, Yatzileim, Yatzileim. O Zalula Salik, Holy Shalai Vasimacho, Simacho, Sarikim, Badisham, O Elo, Lezecha Korisho.
Thank you, Yehuda. Alex has asked, do you know who the composers are? If you do, unmute yourself. Any idea?
Yeah, right. Okay. The first one, Mishyosa, is traditional. I've based it on traditional lands and traditional motifs. The second one, Mimkoimcha, is slightly from Zilbert's, but it's Pinchas Borenstein. Famous Hassan Pinchas Borenstein, who was one of 6 brothers, is his version of Mimkoimcha. And the last one, Shema Batismach Zion, is composed by Moshe Gorogodsky, famous cousin from Kiev,
right,
Ukraine.
Thank you for that. Well, we now turn to Cantor Adam Kaplan, who is cousin at the Prestwich Hebrew congregation, commonly called the Shrubberies, named after an old hall that was on the site before the shul was established about 80 years ago. It claims to be fully committed to the traditional principles of modern Orthodoxy, similar in type to the United Synagogues of London. Adam, I believe you are a born and bred Mancunian, the son of Gateshead-born David Kaplan, who became president of Steen Court Synagogue, Manchester. So I suppose that it's in the area where you grew up in. Is that so?
Very much so, yeah. Born and bred in Prestwich, now living in Salford, not too far away. Just as you've mentioned, my father would just come out of the second Yortzeit for my father, Oliver Shalom. So just remembering him tonight. And he was a key part, I think, pushing me towards leading services and davening properly as a teenager. Formative years, I think, for any person who wants to take up the reins to become a Baal Tefillah, a Chazan. And my father was very much a part of that, which maybe I'll come to soon. But thank you, Spencer, and everyone together with that Edgeway United.
Right.
As you say, Spencer, Shrubberies is a well-established shul in North Manchester, started in the late 1930s. The long-standing famous rabbi throughout its formative years was Rabbi Gerdes. In fact, for the first 42 years of the shul's existence, he was the rabbi and the only rabbi many people knew for many a time. Following him, there was Rabbi Wise, Rabbi Ginsbury, who is now down in London, Rabbi Landers, and now the present incumbent, Rabbi Eisenberg. Throughout the years, they've always had chazonim, as Yehuda said, chazonim including Reverend Berland, Reverend Tira, Reverend Potash, Chazan Aria Finkelstein, Chazan Jeremy Berkowitz, Reverend Bertie Sandler, and for the past 16 years, myself. Again, a bit of history to do with the shul. The noted choir master during the 50s and 60s was one Rafel Gonley, the anglicized name of the son of the famous Fabian Gonski, who was the choir master in the Higher Crumpsall Shul with Chazan Hirschman and Chazan Hillman. His son was for some time the choir master in Prestwich Hebrew congregation, later took a job conducting one of the BBC orchestras. So as I said, my foundations were in leading davening and acting as a chazan were laid through being an active participant in youth minyanim throughout post bar mitzvah, very much encouraged by my father. And I guess the testament to that is myself and both my brothers are regular. I obviously have a position, but both my brothers who are now down in London are regular participants in various shuls, including Stanmore and Woodside Park. So some of those shuls where it is down to the whoever takes the Amud every so often, once a month, one of my brothers is called upon to and paid to actually lead the davening, which might be something of a unique occurrence down in London, according to what we hear. Post yeshiva, I had much support from local rabbonim and chazonim, and want to especially mention Reverend Brody and Rabbi Gastworth and the late colleague, Aleim Hashalom, and the late colleague and dear friend of ours, late colleague of Chazan Marx, Reverend Olsberg, who taught me for my bar mitzvah and taught me post my bar mitzvah for a number of years, a big family friend of ours, and they were all very important in forming me and giving me all the basics when it came to tefillah and the importance of the correct nusach and what to be done when. Again, I want to not to go on as Yehuda did, but mention at this stage Alex Klein, who we all know. But Alex is a member of our shul, of Prestwich Hebrew congregation, a long-standing Ding member, and he's been a huge encouragement to me for many years. And thanks to him, I've had opportunities that I may not have had. We've hosted in the shul many famous chazonim whom I've sung with either during Shabbos services or through concerts, people such as Yankee Lemmer, Yaakov Motzen, Sol Zim, Yechezkel Klein, Shimon Kramer, all people I've sung with in our shul over the years, and we've been privileged to hold a number of chazonos conventions together with the ECA, to which to this day I am the treasurer of the ECA, and that will let you into a little secret that chazonos is my part-time job. My full-time job is as an accountant, and I have been practicing as an accountant for 15 years as well. So that might be one of the secrets as why Manchester has many chazonim, is that a number of the chazonim have other occupations. At this stage, perhaps we could play one of the songs.
Sure. You have two pieces. I might mention that one of them is Mim Komcho, but it's totally different from the one that Yehuda played.
Maybe we'll start with the Mim Komcho. I'll just give a little introduction to this.
Okay.
One of the over the years, many years ago, I did get together quite often with Chazan Rafi Muller, who's one of our speakers after this, and he introduced me to a few new pieces and extended my repertoire a bit. And one of the first pieces we learned together was Mim Komcho, which is actually Karlbach's Mim Komcho. And this is a recording from a concert I gave together with two other local chazonim, Nathan Fegelman, who's now a rabbi in Liverpool, and Modi Spitzer, who you would have mentioned is a chazan in Bury, we gave a concert in Cholamoid Sukkot 2013 in the Manchester Jewish Museum. One of the suggestions was, when we provide recordings for this, is provide recordings that perhaps have not been heard before or not available on YouTube, etc. So this is a recording which I don't believe anybody here will have heard, and I hope you enjoy it. Mimkancha by Shlomo Kolbach. Thank you. And that's something which I sing quite regularly in shul and is appreciated in shul. I just wanted to say something about the chazonos, or the style of services in our shul, and what I think goes down well with people is that people in my shul, and I think across the gamut of all the shuls, they want to hear things they know, but they also don't want to hear everything that they know every week, and they want to feel that things are modern whilst traditional. So everything needs to be a bit of a mix, a bit of a cholent. And when it comes to my davening, hopefully it's an ordered cholent, a cholent which follows a recipe, but it gives everybody a bit of everything. So hopefully, there's certain parts of the davening which will be very formal and the way people have always wanted it. But certain times we'll throw in the tunes that fortunately or unfortunately people want to hear. Obviously, we all know that the clock is one of the most important things in any shul, unfortunately, but that's also a big factor. And you know, many a time I've always heard it blamed on the chazan that things run on or are late or people don't want to come to shul. And it's, I think all of us here who are Chazon's fans know that's far from the case, but it's all a question of perception, as I see it quite often. So us as Chazonim and leading a shul need to do what's best for ourselves. And Baruch Hashem, in our shul we have a very supportive rabbi and executive for everything that we do. So the second piece I wanted to share with you was Eilu Devorim from Rappaport, made famous by Hirschman. Again, this was sung at this concert at the Manchester Jewish Museum in 2013. I must say it was accompanied by Philip Kammerman, the conductor of the choir in Leeds.
Thank you very much. That was very nice.
Thank you. I think I've overrun my time, so
That's
I'll
fine.
step back now. Thank you.
Right. Well, we now pass to the two Muller brothers. Their father was the world famous Benjamin Muller. And I think before we start a discussion, maybe we could hear the Misha Berach, which has the whole family in it.
הקמים עלינו, ניגפים לפניהם. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה. וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם. יבר שונאינו תחתיהם, יתרם בכתר ישועה ועטרת ניצחון. כי השם ההולך עמכם להילחם לכם עם אויביכם
Well, could one of you tell me who the 5 people were around the table before we start a discussion?
This is Yossi. This is Chazan Yossi Muller's family, and Yossi Muller and boys.
Right. Is your father 3 brothers and a cousin?
No, this is Yossi, my brothers and his sons.
And his son, right?
His
Right.
4 sons.
Right. Well, Rafi, I'll turn to you first. Your first posts were in Europe, in Strasbourg and Dusseldorf. Can you tell us something about those early years?
Yes, I got married in 98, in the year 98, and then I was planning to study in Israel for a few years, but then came this offer of becoming chazan in this big shul, which seated 2,000 people in Strasbourg, very impressive shul, the big shul, Avenue de la Paix, which was a nice offer not to accept such an offer. So I went there with was a very good experience because they had all these Western Lewandowski, all these repertoire which I wasn't used to because my father, I was born in Antwerp, although my father used to sing some Lewandowskis and other great composition, Yekeshev compositors, but in Antwerp is a more Hasidic town, and we are more. We used to be more the Eastern Europe Chazanut, which we knew from Yasser Rosenblatt and all the great Chazanim of that side of Europe. So it was quite good to learn new repertoires, and I got to like it very much. I remember I had to go through all these repertoires. We had a proper choir, and it was quite hard work to change because if you know the mode is a mode which is a Jewish mode in music which is called Phrygisch, and this they didn't have all this because the German music, I mean the German Jewish music was based on normal the music that had the normal scales, if you want, which was a very good training for myself. Also, I did. You had a lot of experience there. Yes, and I was there for 2 years, and then I got offered this position in Düsseldorf, which I accepted as for several reasons. First of all, it was close to Antwerp. Also, I could continue my studies, which I wanted to do in Antwerp, in the Kollel there, and I used to commute to go weekends. And then obviously Düsseldorf is a very central point for business, and many people came along from the whole world for the different business. There was fairs of different businesses, which got to know some good people as well. Very interesting. Düsseldorf also something I didn't know very much about. Also added on to my experience. I used to teach bar mitzvahs there in the weekends when I used to go on Thursdays and go back on Sundays. So part of my job was to teach bar mitzvahs and to tell them about Yiddishkeit, as they didn't have much of this there in Germany at the time. This was in year 2000 till 2002, which was also adding to the experience I got. Basically, you really want to hear what I think about Chazanut. Chazanut is a mission. This is how I was. We grew into this Chazanut. but always the message was that we are here not to promote ourselves, but to give people and to help people to get closer to Yiddishkeit and to the Almighty. I was always inspired by a letter which the Chazon Ish wrote to a boy who was a very good. He studied he was very consistent, and he studied very seriously, and then he overdid it and he became not well. So it's writes to the Chazon Ish a letter. It's very inspiring because then he writes to the Chazon Ish, for what sin did I deserve to get to become ill, to become not well? So the Chazon Ish writes to him something which is always inspired me. This is a lesson for everybody, I think, not only for all people. This is a good and a very profound idea that he said to him, it's not because you did something bad, it's because nature, if you overdo, then this is what happens. So he tell him, come to me. Chazon Ish told him, come to me, and you have a rest for a few weeks, and then you'll be able to go back to you. So to yourself. So this was very important because we know that nature, he says to him, nature is the supreme will of God. And we know if somebody got by nature, he got a nice voice, he has to give, this is the supreme will of God to give people. Also, this enabled me to continue learning in yeshiva, and which this is what my goal is, to learn, to study, and then I can be a chazan and do still staying in learning Torah.
And then you brought your skills to Manchester, I think to the Yeshurun in 2005.
Yes.
Right.
In the meantime, I was in Moscow in the Achipova Shul for the high holidays, for Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and I went there several times also in the middle of the year. So beautiful to see Moscow, you know, the Achipova Shul with the choir, which was amazing to sing with them by Rabbi Goldschmidt.
Right, and 3 years earlier, you together with your father and two Cantor brothers, Yossi and Israel, gave your first concert together in Manchester. I wish I understand your father's compositions were performed. That must have been quite an event. Are both your previous shuls and your current one appreciative of Chazanut?
Yes, I mean, as Adam said before, we try to accommodate what people want to hear, to make it possible for them to feel elevated through the tefillot. This is what our mission is, our goal is, to help people come closer to Hashem, to speak to Hashem, to get answered their requests, and by elevating, by singing what they feel they can relate to, this is helping them.
Yeah. But we're going to start with a variety. We're going to start with a compilation, and then we're going to go to the first bit in that compilation, Mogen Avos. So, Elliot, can you put on the compilation of the several pieces?
For ועדתו, מעוז ועדתו, אנחנו נידוחים, מעוז ועדתו. נהרוגים ונשחוטים ונטבוחים, נהרוגים ונשחוטים ונטבוחים, נהרוגים ונשחוטים ונטבוחים. היי! כמו יסרטון, כמו יסרטון, מויכי אבוי נויס אהמוי. רבו מן שמיים וחיים עולנו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן אמן. ויעשה שלום לברימו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל במהרה
Right, and now we have a single piece. Right, can I come on to Yossi?
Yes, just before I hand you over to Yossi, I just want to salute all my dear friends from Higher Prestige who are participating here this evening. I really love you all. You are so big support, and I love always when I'm coming there. It's like a family, and I wish them all the best.
Thank
you. Always.
I know Manchester always gives people a very warm welcome. Now let's come on to Yossi. Is he there?
Hello?
I take it you were all born in Antwerp, or not?
No, I was born in Johannesburg.
Johannesburg.
And my general history and probably geography and my history, you know, where I was Chazan, it's probably, you could see it on websites and different places. I started in Tel Aviv and I came to Manchester and I was in Berlin. I would like, because I appreciate this educational program, really a very amazing thing that is what you are doing, and I would like to express my appreciation to yourself, to Chazan Yehuda Marx for organizing this, and for Alex Klein, and for David Prager, who was so many times involved, and all those who I forgot to mention the contribution to our spirituality. If I may say, the Chazanut, I started I was brought up in Chazanut by my esteemed father, Chazan Cantor, and I was brought up in a family with Chazanim. We just heard my brother Rafi, unbelievable voice, and Chazanut. And I've got a brother in Israel. It's a great Chazan, fantastic Chazan in Brussels. And we were brought up and we understand Chazanut from, I would like to think so, we understand Chazanut from birth. My grandfather, my mother's father was a Chazan. He was Chazan in Italy, and that's how he got the first job in Milano. And
you were a Chazan in Israel, weren't you?
I was in Israel. I started my first job in Tel Aviv in Hilton Hotel, and I always felt that it's very, very important to set up a choir, and I managed to do this in Manchester with I started with my esteemed friend Oliver Sholem Ivor Beach, and then later it was conducted and taken to a absolutely an outstanding level by our esteemed talented conductor Tim Dempsey. And this all is only possible to be done when a Chazan is in full time. When a Chazan is part-time, it's like having a part-time doctor or part-time any profession. You take part-time, you can't spend your full time in it, and that's why the decline, if there is, it's very, very it's very, very sad, and the decline is something that I would like to compare to as we see everything that is spiritual. Our sages say that the first generations, if they were like angels, we were like human, comparing to them. The difference, the decline of the level, we went much down than we were. That's how we should look in according to our sources, that we believe that the first generations were much higher in spiritual levels, and the second the generation after that, if they were like human, that we are like donkeys. Also to express the difference of understanding and the capability and the capacity. And I feel that this expression is not just in Torah studies, it's in every aspect. And we go to music and Chazanut and understanding Tfilah, there's a decline, and people, it's a shame they don't, people do appreciate, but the education is missing. And if people were appreciating more Chazanot once than today, it's another expression of sadness, how we are Yeridat Adorot. There is a lack of understanding of real tefillah. The real tefillah, the davening, is what connects us to the Almighty, and that's what we're just talking about the Parshiyot. Sorry, Spencer, I'm going a bit long, but I want just to express this because this is an educational program, and I want to emphasize this. We just said that the Almighty goes into length to explain the building of the Mishkan and all in details. And the Ramban explains that the reason is because worship is very important for the Almighty, and therefore the Almighty loves it and goes into detail.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, now there aren't any full-time Chazanim in the Orthodox communities in London or Manchester. I'm not certain. I think you probably have Samicha yourself. Do you think that as part of the training for Samicha, part of a module should be on Chazanot for all those people training?
It's not a part of Smicha. That's part of, I think that belongs to every person that is open and has and understands, wants to understand a bit more in depth our connection in shul. As like, when we go to people like to daven, today is very popular. We like to daven in unison, very, very popular today. But people understand as similar that by studying of Torah, you've got chavrusa, you learn with someone else. But if you want to study Torah, you can't just learn with someone else. Sometimes you need to listen to a good shir. You need to listen to a good lecture, to a good study. When one listens to a good chazan, he gets a shir, he gets a lesson, he goes into the details, he goes into the understanding of the words. And that's all about chazanut. And you can't deliver this when you're part-time. It's very, 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 very limited. You can, I'm not saying you can't, but it's very, very restricted because people have to spend time in other things and their livings, and they can't spend so much time to do their work in such extent that if he got the full time to do it.
Right. Well, we're now going to listen to a good, if not a top cousin, with several pieces. Can we go to the first piece, Elliot? Right, and now for something completely different. Even if you're not used to listening to Chazanut, I think you'll recognize the next piece.
Spencer, Nathan,
Yes,
can I just say something before you go to the next?
sure.
Very, very briefly, I see the, between amongst the people that watching this special educational program, I see there's a guest from Israel, my dear friend Peter Redstone, and I want to welcome him and tell him thank you very much for all your support during all those years. Every chazan needs a person to have. When I, I was brought up in Belgium, and we had
The late Rabbi Lieberman passed just recently away, and he had very, very, very clever sayings. And one of his sayings was that every clergy should have few people that are very loyal and close to him. And I can say that with Peter Edson, he was, and him and his wife were angels sent from heaven to help them to be a big support to me. And I thank them for everything they've done and doing. I would like also to mention something else. I'm now privileged to daven in the Hillock Shul, in the Hillock Hebrew congregation. And I want to welcome, I don't know if I haven't seen him, but he told me he's going to come up as well, our president, Mr. Ron Vosk. And he's davening there every Shabbat, and it's beautiful to listen to him. And they're doing an amazing job. I would like also to mention two more things. The choir was in Israel, which we just heard, but my choir is still going on, thanks God, with conductor Timmy as conductor. And we had just now the Holocaust Memorial Day together with a new setting of choir. And besides this, I have a wedding choir for participating for chazonis and also for contemporary songs.
Well, one of the very few positives that come out of the pandemic is that Chazanot has become international. And at our last session, we had people from America, Canada, South Africa, and Israel. And again, we have an international audience tonight. Elliot, the next piece, please.
Ich will bereich a kasche freuen, sucht mir wer es kennt, mit welche teure Farming, bench Gott alle men. Meine kauf das nicht mit keine Geld, das gibt man nur im Siehst. Und doch als man verliert das Zeug, wie Tränen man vergießt. A zweite gibt man keinem nicht, es hilft nicht kein Gewinn. Oh, wer es hat verloren, der weiß schon, was ich mein. A jüdische Mame, es gibt nicht Besseres auf der Welt. A jüdische Mame, wie bitter, wenn sie fällt. Wie schön und lichtig ist die Nacht, wenn die Mama ist tot. Wie traurig finster wird, wenn Gott nimmt sie auf Eulam Abo. In a Feier, in Wasser, wird sie gelaufen vor ihr Kind. Nicht folgen ihre Teier, das ist gewiss die größte Sinn. Oi, wie glücklich und leicht ist der Mensch, was hat, als eine schöne Matune geschenkt von Gott. Als eine lichtige jüdische Mame.
And finally, we have a piece, Ailey Ailey, to finish the evening.
Keli, Keli, lo mo'azavtoni. Keli, Keli, lo mo'azavtoni. In Feuer, in Flammen hat man uns gebrennt, überall gemacht uns zu Schand und zu Spott. Doch abzuwenden hat uns keiner nicht gekannt, von dir, meine Gott, und von deiner heilige Teure. Dein Gebot, Keli, Keli, lo mo'azavtoni. Keli, Keli, lo mo'azavtoni.
Tag in Nacht, noch nicht Tag, von dir, mein Gott.
Ich hit mit Meure, ob dein Teure, deine heilige Gebot. Rate wir mich von Gefahr, wie einmal die Juwes von Besengesar, Herr zu mein Tfile, mein Gewein, helfen keiner, nur du allein. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem Echad.
I don't think any of us realised just how topical and relevant that piece would be when it was sent in, and we hope and pray for peace in Eastern Europe. I'd like to thank the four Chazanim for their contributions this evening and acknowledge their efforts to maintain traditional Cantorial music in our synagogues. We can only hope that people will appreciate how important it is to keep Chazanot at the center of our services and listen to it both in our shuls and online. As I said at the beginning, you'll be able to access a recording of this session on the HOUS YouTube channel. The final Cantorial session in this biannual program will be in 4 weeks' time on Tuesday, the 29th of March at 8 p.m. when I shall be interviewing the world-famous Cantor at Fifth Avenue, New York, Joseph Malavani, who was at Edgware US from 1968 to 1973. We shall then start the next biannual program immediately after Pesach. If you wish to catch up on any of our talks in past sessions, you'll find them on our Edgware US YouTube channel. More information about our adult education program can be found on our website, www.edgwareu.com, Alternatively, contact our office@edgwareu.com, and ask to be placed on the circulation list for the adult education programme. Thank you all for participating this evening.